Good morning. My name is Barbara Ochester, and I am a student in Theories of Leadership class at Aspen University. Today I'll be doing a presentation that's an informational review on 4 leadership theories. Our theories are contingency theory, continuum theory, path goal theory, and leader substitute theory. The contingency theory was started by Fred Fidler, who developed a situational leadership theory that was a precursor of the contingency theory of leadership effectiveness that we know today. Built on the concept that situations in a management environment do not remain static, things change, there are differences and variables in the workplace. The leadership is based on the leader, the followers, and the situation together. This is particularly important when dealing with global organizations where the social norms and the work norms may not be the same from one country to another. The goal in this theory is to match the leadership style with the situation in order to produce maximum effectiveness and efficiency. The first step in this theory is to determine what your dominant leadership style is. Are you very task motivated or relationship motivated? It's important for the leader to understand if the work situation is such that they have a reasonable amount of influence over their followers or their employees. A leader should ask themselves, how do the followers see me? Are they seen, or am I seen as trustworthy and capable of doing my job, as fair? Or do the followers have confidence in me and respect for me as a leader? If the answer to these kinds of questions is yes, it makes for a more favorable work situation. The 2 other constructs to look at in the contingency theory when determining a situational favorableness are, is it a really task structure? Is there a formal structure to the task? And how much structure does it have? Or is it sort of loosey-goosey and unstructured? Are there repetitive components to the task? Is the task easily accomplished? And the position power. How much autonomy does the leader have when it comes to making decisions? Can they hire and fire on their own? Can they determine how much reward or raises to give to their employees? If when asking the previous questions the answers are positive, then the manager has a very reasonable situational favorableness. In order to help leaders adapt to different situations in the workplace, theorists have put together decision-making formulas, pathways, and decision trees that allow them or the manager to determine exactly where they fall on the scale and then can focus on these skills to run their teams. Fiedler believed that you can change the situation to a more favorable position much more easily than attempting to change the job requirements. To change a relationship, for instance, with your employees, takes some more interest in them, either individually or as a group. It's important to get to know them personally, of course with boundaries set. When dealing with the tasks at hand, look carefully to see if they could have more or less structure, what's needed there. If the employees are having difficulty completing the tasks, sit down and talk to them. Get some input from them. What's holding them up? How could it be better? The leader should use their position power sparingly. If you have it, you don't necessarily have to use it. You could build relationships with your employees and then empower them. Fiedler received some criticism for his theories, but he actually defended them and then contributed to many other contingency theories. Second is the continuum theory. This one was developed by Robert Tannenbaum and Warren Schmidt. Tannenbaum and Schmidt believe that leadership style can range in a long continuum, and it can go all the way from a very autocratic, leader-centered, boss-centered one end, all the way over to a subordinate-centered end, dependent on what kinds of information you need to make decisions in the workplace. Do your subordinates know the information better than you do? These researchers also entered the situation of time as one of the factors. Dependent on the critical nature of your business and the time schedule, sometimes decisions need to be made immediately. There is no time for other people to input or to consult with other people. It just has to be made. The above situation forces a leadership style that the managers have to be ready to fit into. So in those situations, you have to be autocratic. You just have to get it done. The continuum theory ranges, as I said earlier, from one end of the scale to the other. The very autocratic approach where either you have to make the decision by yourself or you choose to make the decision by yourself, and it's really not open to discussion. You've made the decision, and now you're going to go and convince your employees that it's a good one. And think back, if they respect you and trust you, and you know your job, that won't be as difficult as if they don't. And the decision is already made, but it might be open to change based on some input that they get. And then you get all the way down on the other end where it's very participative. Either the situation is discussed, you request input, you request recommendations for the decision. The employees make the decision all on their own, and then you turn some of the ongoing decision-making over to the employees. Next, we'll discuss the path-goal theory. Leadership theory here was developed by Robert House on or about 1971, and that theory was set forth by M.G. Evans. Concept is that the behavior and the personality and leadership style of the leader influences the behavior and personality of your followers. This theory uses basic thoughts of the goal-setting theory and the expectancy theory. Managers are to select the leadership style that is appropriate for the situation at hand. Here, the managers are responsible for increasing the employees' motivation to accomplish both their personal goals, how far am I going to get in this company, how well am I going to do, how well will I be rewarded, and the organizational goals. Are we going to accomplish the tasks at hand? The concept is to assist the employee in determining the path that they would take to accomplish their goals and to gain rewards that have been predetermined. The manager can also raise the rewards that his or her employees get and find valuable and worth the hard work. So they have a high position power here. These managers do best with a really strong power position, and for example, they should have the authority to raise reward levels dependent on what their employees accomplish. The four styles of leadership here and used in the path goal theory are directive, supportive, participative, and achievement-oriented. In the directive leadership approach, it's appropriate when the employees feel very little control over what happens in the workplace, so they have that internal locus of control. Their tasks at work are complex and need a lot of supervision to get done, and the employees are not necessarily highly skilled or educated. Supportive leadership comes into play when the employees have a pretty good concept of what they're supposed to be doing, they're fairly educated and able to complete their tasks, and the tasks may be less complex and do not need a great deal of supervision. Or the tasks may be somewhat complex, but the leader has taken the time to assure that the employees know how to do them. Participative leadership is accomplished when the manager is willing or needs to include employees' perspective when making a decision. You might supervise something and you don't know all of the details of how to get it done. You need your employees to tell you some of the answers to your questions. The employees feel like they're capable of completing a task and may have a lot of good input. And the manager might be weak and need to lean on the employees heavily to complete tasks. Or the manager might be new. Use achievement-oriented leadership when the employees do not have a problem with an autocratic leadership style. Some employees come to work and just say, you tell me what to do and I'll do it. Good. Employees feel that they don't have control over the way that things are done in their organization, so they have no internal locus of control. It's all external. I have no control over that. Tasks are simple and easy to accomplish, and job satisfaction might be high or low. Depends on if they care whether or not somebody is bossing them around. And finally, the leadership substitute theory. This is developed by Stephen Kerr and John Jeremier, and they stated that there are some situations where a leader cannot influence their followers. There are some situations in business or other organizations where factors outside of the leader's control just don't allow them to function as a leader. These factors can have an impact on the situation outcomes that leadership actions would. The theory here looks at the characteristics of the followers: the tasks at hand, the organizations, and the organization that really negates the role of the leader and or at least neutralizes them. The followers in this situation are able to continue onward with the business without a leader or a person of authority in charge. The followers can have attributes and knowledge about the task, practice, and training that's already in place. They don't need somebody to lead them. They can also have the need for having some autonomy and are professional, and that allows them to pick up and carry on. If these tasks are straightforward and simple, the organization has formal training manuals that are in place. They have regular training for their employees and a lot of information for the employees. The company can just move ahead. This has led some organizations to incorporate a style of self-management approach. Good self-motivated employees do not need anyone to tell them what to do. They move forward without their leader. In conclusion, this has been a very brief overview of the 4 theories presented here. In many instances, there have been meta-analyses conducted and challenged the theories that I have presented. But the authors have defended the theories or built upon the theories and try to continue to improve upon it. Many of the theories have been around for a great deal of time, and newer theorists pick them up and do move them ahead. I appreciate your attention.